In today's video, we're talking about whether or not you should buy a used or new VB WRX, that's the 2022 Plus WRX. And this video is going to be a little bit of used versus new for any WRX, but we're mainly talking about the VB WRX. So if you're considering a VB WRX, we're going to talk about everything you need to know. This is one of those no-frill videos where, although we're not doing anything super fancy here, I promise you guys, if you watch the whole video, you will learn something. Actually, you'll learn probably quite a lot about these cars, and you'll be more informed whether you own one and you're looking to sell it eventually, how to market it, or vice versa if you're thinking about a new one, or you want to bring down your cost basis and get a used one because maybe that makes the most sense. This is basically a video for any current and new prospective owners of the VB WRX. Before we jump too far into the video, guys, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, we're building this car, and what's behind you is my 2016 WRX, which is also part of a build. That's a full build series. This one will become a full build series. There's a lot going on this channel, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and press the notification bell. So does the VB WRX differ in used versus new than the VA WRX or the STI? And the answer is yes, it does, and quite a lot. And there's a couple reasons that's true. First and foremost, it's the FA24 motor. It's a different engine that's in the VA WRX, which is the FA20 motor, and that's going to be about 95% of the reason that the VB WRX is going to be different than the VA WRX. And that comes down to a couple core things. One, the motor can take more, meaning it can make power and make more power than the VA WRX without pushing the limits. We'll talk about why that's important later. It's just a more reliable and more bulletproof engine. It's just simply a better engine. And the other thing is kind of all the appurtenances to the engine. When we think the engine, we think of kind of everything that has to be there to make power. Some of the appurtenances like tubing, connections, all that kind of stuff, just better, more weather resilient, more time resilient. And again, we'll talk about why that matters. So that's 95% of why it's different. And let's dive in. So the perks of buying a new WRX is you get a blank slate. You get a blank platform, it's brand new, no one's had it before, and you pay for it. One of the downsides historically for buying cars that get modified are the fact that they are tuned one or multiple times, parts are put on them either correctly or incorrectly, and you somewhat take a risk, meaning that somebody could have basically beat the crap out of the car, the transmission, and the engine, and you as the new used owner have to kind of take whatever they hand off to you. And sometimes you pay a normalized price for a used vehicle, maybe it's been really beat down and it's actually not worth as much. When you buy new, the perk is no one's ever done that before and it's a completely blank slate. Some of the cons to that is you gotta drive it a little bit before you can do anything fun with it. You gotta break the car in, but more importantly, you have to spend a new price tag, which the difference between a new and used WRX is pretty substantial. And that stays true with the VB WRX. You can get a used VB WRX for something like mid 20,000s right now with low miles, and probably closer to 22,000 with some higher miles. And does the year matter? Absolutely not, because, well, it does if you care about interior stuff. You're still getting the engine and most of what makes this car special. If you want to up to the next trim or the limited trim, you still can in the used market and save really good money. But with the new, so you're paying for it and you get a blank slate. The downsides to paying for it, other than it just being upfront more expensive, is you've got less money to get to the next step with the car. These cars, and I'll be the first to say this, you don't know what it's like to drive a VB WRX until you've tuned one and driven it tuned. They are just different cars, and the sooner you can get to that point, the better. The two downsides: you buy a brand new WRX, it has more of a fresh warranty. It's harder mentally to kind of get past doing things to the car that might take you into a realm of warranty isn't going to cover the fix. And then two, if you spend more money on the car, you literally have less money to spend on modifying it, tuning it, and building it for whatever you want out of this car. But at the very least, I recommend everybody upping the power because it is radically a different car. I cannot emphasize that enough. Again, if you're spending $35,000, $36,000, $40,000 on a new car versus $25,000 on a car with maybe 20,000 miles on it, you've got like 10, 15 grand to put into the car. To get to a really cool point on the car, you only really need like 3 to 5 grand, maybe 6 or 7 if you want to fully build out what you're looking for, or 10 if you really want to make a ton of power. But the short answer is if you go used, you can do all that pretty much immediately if you're considering used versus new. That's basically it for the new. You get a blank slate. Now let's talk about used, because that's going to be the majority of you. Even maybe you're not considering the two, but you want reassurance that buying used is okay. And this is the first time, I mean, I've said buying used is good in the past, but this is the first time I'm giving it like my full check mark. Buying used, buying a VB used is probably what makes the most sense. I will go one step further. I may sell this car at some point in the next calendar year to then buy one with significantly higher mileage to do a lot more into it. Why would I do that? Because I can sell this for $5,000, $6,000 more than a high mileage one, and then I can take that $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 and do far more to the car and basically keep the same cost basis. I don't drive these cars that much. This car I've owned for we're coming pretty closely to 3 years in this car, and I've only put 17,000 miles on it, and 4,000 of that 17,000 miles has been this summer. So let's dive into it. So why do I feel like buying a used VB WRX is not just safe, but probably the better choice? The engine can make more power. Let me tell you why that's so important. It means that when people go to tune their cars, on the VA WRX, this is a great example, a Pro Tune or even a Stage 2 tune takes you right to the limit of what the car can take from the engine. You can push 50, 60 wheel horsepower more, and you really get into that realm of rods, other issues, right? That's not the case with this car, but we also don't see the aftermarket getting as close to the upper bound of what this engine can take. What does that mean? Even if the car has been tuned, which you may or may not know, the likelihood of the car running at the engine's potential for a long period of time, causing heightened levels of wear and tear and potentially blips over its allotted limit, which could slowly damage and shorten the useful life of internal parts or other aspects of the car. That doesn't necessarily happen as much with the VB WRX. It's much less likely to happen. One step further, it's just a better engine. It is a lot of the engine the materials have changed, it can hold more power, which is a direct reflection of the engine being better, and just the overall, let's say, improvements in terms of engineering from the FA20 to FA24. We'll probably leave it at that because I'm going to do a whole video comparing the two engines. Make it just a better engine. It is much less resistant to issues. I mean, if you talk to most tuners right now, again, we're talking about making power, but just in general, the rates of engine failure, low in the FA20 WRX, which is the VA gen, very low in the VB generation WRX, very low. Knock on wood, hopefully that doesn't happen, but you know what I mean. And then one step further, all the appurtenances of the engine, meaning everything that kind of gets attached to the engine block to make that complete engine when you think about an engine that goes into a car, wildly improved in this car. And I can say that having now completely taken the engine out of the WRX that's right behind you guys, stripped it down, put it in a new engine, and then I haven't fully taken apart this engine, but just comparing parts like for like essentially, this engine will last the standard of time from a physical material perspective much better than the VA generation WRX by such a large margin that truly not comparable. What does that really mean? The engine will just last longer. So when you think about a used vehicle, some people are concerned it's been on the road, it's been driving for a long time. Length of time could add wear and tear. Coming to say the things that matter, probably not a big deal here. I think the engine, couple years on an FA24 engine is nothing. It could be like a year on an FA20 engine, just with the materials and how hoses perform and all that kind of stuff. There's a reason very few part numbers are the same. They're almost all improved, or at least I've played with both of them and they're radically different. Okay, so now you kind of are feeling where I'm at. The used WRX is way cheaper. It gives you more room to play. And because the engine is so much more reliable and can make more power, you're at less of a risk of the problems that could come from a previous owner. I'm going to take it one step further. There aren't as many parts that you need to put nor can put on the VB WRX when tuning it. So one of the big problems with the VA WRX and even the STI is you could incorrectly run parts which will prematurely damage the engine or prematurely add additional wear and tear on the engine. Think intakes without a tune. With a VB WRX, you can make really, really good power without putting a lot of parts on it. And I'll go one step further. It doesn't make sense to put a lot more parts into it unless you're making a lot of power. The people that are doing that, it then becomes very evident when you're looking at used WRXs that they've done them. Why? Simply because those parts are harder to uninstall, so typically they're sold installed. If not, they're professionally removed, but the people that are paying for it likely took care of their car more during the process, and that's typically the advice that I tell people. So my takeaway, so if you're thinking used versus new, a lot of you guys that are like, okay, maybe I'll get used, might be asking, well, how do I then figure out what the used VB WRX and how do I find out how to buy one? How do I check to see if it's right? How do I check and see if it's in good condition? A couple things. One, understand you'll never officially know for good. The other thing you could do is check to see if if it has any aftermarket parts. If it's got anything that needs a tune, make sure there's a tune on it. If there's no access port or no evidence of a tune, just move on to the next one. But one step further, if it's stock, you're probably okay. I can't guarantee anything, but you're more okay than you were with any other generation WRX or really any other generation tunable sports car. And then one step further, the folks that leave them tuned, buying a tuned WRX isn't actually the end of the world. If you find an owner that's cared for the WRX, you might actually find a WRX that is in better shape than a stock WRX. There is this misnomer that tuned cars have more wear and tear, or have been beat on, or are in less shape, not as good shape as stock WRXs. That is absolutely not the case. More often than not, especially folks that keep their WRXs stock, and I'm not speaking for everybody, they care for it a little bit less. Most people that tune them and make lots of power on them, they do oil changes very frequently. They look after their car. They do basically lots of heightened maintenance because, one, they need to, but also if they're doing that much to their car, typically you find people want to do it and they're proud of their car in a different way. And I've actually found, when you look at lots of WRXs over a decade, and it's the business that I'm in, or it's part of the business that I'm in, is, you know, I'm in the aftermarket side. I've had 4 WRXs. I help people pick out WRXs. The amount of you guys that email me and ask, like, I'm looking at this WRX, what are your thoughts? And we Zoom, I respond via email, whatever it is. Maybe I go meet you guys to help you out. Some of the WRXs and STIs that I'm convinced will last the longest are the ones that maybe make even more power than a normal WRX should, because the owners have taken such good care of them. A great example is a WRX where an owner cared what type of gas went into it, even if it's all 93 versus bad 93 and they got gas everywhere. Massive difference in carbon inside the engine and carbon deposits, and how quickly you might have to get a intake valve cleaning or something like that. Like, radical difference there. So as you take care of your car, it goes one step further. So we're now at the part of the video where, okay, you are an owner, but eventually you might sell this car. Watch that entire video and replicate everything I just said. If you want to get the most out of your car as a used WRX, document everything you've done, take really good care of it, document everything related to the care, and you'll find somebody that really appreciates it. And I'm going to take it one step further. If you're thinking about selling your WRX and it's well cared for, or you are selling it, maybe drop some info in the comment section below, and somebody else that's looking for one that's well cared for will comment and a deal will happen. You'd be surprised, it happens more than you think. The amount of people that have emailed me saying that other people subscribed to this channel have bought their other cars because they trusted them, because they built either the same car that I had, or they just did it right, documented. One of the nice things about having a YouTube channel is I document everything with my cars. So if I ever sell my car to a fellow enthusiast, they can see literally everything I've ever done with it. Again, the VA WRX that's behind you guys that I'm doing a full rebuild, yeah, it's got high mileage on the odometer, but it's got an engine from a 2020 with 80,000 miles on it, and I'm replacing literally every part on that car. Someday I will sell it, and somebody will be able to watch me replace literally everything on the car, and hopefully it'll be worth more, but at the very least, it's peace of mind. So, ultimate answer, I think buy used over new. I don't think new is worth the money with the relative prices for used WRXs right now. And I'm gonna go one step further. I think used WRXs have bottomed out. I think we're at the whole of the used market, so I have to even look at my watch. It's the beginning of August, so it's August essentially of 2025. So whenever you're watching this video, I think right now is probably the cheapest these cars are gonna get. My guess is they're actually gonna get more expensive in the coming year and a half. Not that like they're going to appreciate that much, but we might need to see them go down anymore. So as mileage gets higher, the price isn't gonna change, because I think the market is so down right now, and new prices are so down that it's deflating the used market as well. It's probably actually the best time to buy a used VB. Probably the best time to buy a new VB too, but again, they're super expensive. I'm seeing like limited VBs for like 44 grand around me. Yeah, there's some discounts, but that's still a lot of money. Again, seeing that, like, one, I bought this new, and that's only because there was no available used WRXs. About this new for 27.5, and you can get probably a similar car to this right now for like 25 grand, maybe it's more like 26 grand. I get offers from dealers around like 26 to 28,000 for this. So I guess like, but I have super low mileage. If you were to buy like a 30,000 mile car, you know, 2022, similar to my spec, you're probably paying 25 grand, 26 grand, way better than 44. And you've got a lot of room there to work on it. So food for thought. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.